Hi, so I'm going to talk through some of the poses of the Ashtanga standing sequence. I'm not going to do every single pose. I'm going to skip a few so that this is a nice practice for those who are brand new to the practice, or for somebody who doesn't have enough time on one day and they just want to do a mini practice. Although before you do this standing sequence, you should do the sun salutations before. Okay, so there's another video for that, or if you know them on your own, just take 15 minutes to do the warm-up. Okay, thank you. So you're going to come to the front of your yoga mats, bring the toes together for Samasthiti position. Then you're going to bend your knees, press the feet into the floor to be able to hop the feet apart, hip width apart. So the feet are directly under the two hip bones. Then, when we bend forward, we want to bend from the top of the thigh while we keep our lower belly in to support our lumbar spine. So as we bend forward, if we feel like this kind of thing is happening, where I'm rounding through my back, rounding like that, this is not the way to do the pose. So I'm going to talk you through so that we avoid this. You're going to bring the baby finger on the hip bone, the thumb on the low ribs, and then the fingers towards the navel, so that you're going to bring your awareness to the core of the body. And then you're going to keep the fingertips here as you start to tilt forward, and you want to keep this firm. And if you start to notice that you're going to be bending from the waist, instead of bending from the waist, you're going to bend your knees. And keep going until you can keep the low ribs touching the upper thighs. Once you get there, you're going to take your first two fingers and the thumb and wrap them around the big toes. Going to separate the elbows towards the sides, keep the shoulder blades working away from the ears so the neck is long, and then relax the neck forward. Gaze towards your nose, and we're going to hold this position for 5 breaths. Just to keep in mind, you should not feel the stretch behind the knees, and not so much of a stretch on the upper hamstrings as well. We're trying to get into the body of the muscles, the body of the hamstring, or maybe the backs of the calves. Okay, so that's about 3 breaths. Remember, we're making a soft sound with the breath. 4. Try to keep the inhales and the exhales the same length. And that's 5. Inhale, straighten the arms, open the chest, feel the belly in, place the hands on the hips, pressing into the feet, keep the chest open as you inhale back up to standing. Exhale, bend the knees, and hop the feet back together. Okay, the next position we're going to do is called Trikonasana, means triangle. Bending the knees again, you're going to step your right foot back, turn your left toes in, and then point your right foot towards the back of the mat. Have a look at your feet. If the feet were to come together, the heels would touch. So the feet are standing on the exact same line. Back toes need to be angling in. The front foot and the front knee and the front hip are all in the same line. Then you're going to bring your left arm down the back leg, right arm palm up and forward, turn towards so that you're looking towards the back, and then start to shift the hips over that front leg, allowing the right fingertips to come down. Okay, so this is one way to hold the pose. Lifting the left arm, gazing up to the up to the big thumb, or you can take a yoga block. There's a cat in the picture. It's feeding time. Okay, you can take a yoga block and you can place it around the shin bone, and you can shift over and bring your fingertips on the block. What we're trying to avoid here is sinking into the block. So not something like that, right? Lifting up using your muscles. Okay, and then gazing up to your left thumb. Breathing here. 1, 2. Feel the lower belly pulling in. 3, 4, and 5. So if you're using a block, you can take your block, press into the feet, inhale, come up to standing, turn the feet to the opposite side. So your right toes are angling in slightly, your front foot is straight, have a look, your hip, your knee, your foot should all be facing the same direction. Change the hands if you're using your block, place your block down, right arm down the back leg, left arm facing, palm facing up. Exhale, shifting over your left leg. Seeing if you can keep your torso directly over that front leg. Lower belly pulling in. Fingertips come down. The other cat comes along. And then lift the right arm up. Gazing to the thumb. Counting your breaths. 1. Making a soft sound. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Press firmly into the feet. Inhale to come up. Bring the feet parallel, bending at the knees, and then stepping or hopping to the front of your mats. We're going to do this a similar pose, but this time we're going to have a longer stance and the front knee is going to be bent. It's called Konasana. Bending at the knees, step your right foot back, turn the left toes in so they're a little bit in at an angle. Point your right foot out. Once again, the heels are in line. The front knee is pointing towards your second toe. Then you're going to bend that front knee so it's directly over your heel. Feel the lower belly coming in. Place your forearm on the mid-thigh. So here, sometimes what we can end up doing is kind of sinking into that leg, right? See how my shoulder comes towards my ear? We don't want this. We want to press our arm into the thigh and make space between the thigh and the side body. So I have a long neck and my shoulder isn't stressed at all. So now my left arm down the back leg, palm up, can gaze up, and then I shift my left arm over the ear at an angle, like I'm making a nice straight line from the heel of my foot all the way through my fingertips. And then I'm gazing towards my inner arm, feeling the lower belly coming in, and I start my inhales and my exhales, soft ujjayi. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pressing firmly into the feet. I inhale as I come back up, turn the back foot in, and point the front foot out. Once again, verifying the heels are on the same line. I bend that front knee so it's directly over that front heel, pulling the lower belly in. Place the forearm across the thigh, pressing the forearm into the thigh, making space between that thigh and the side body. Right arm down the back leg, palm up, and then I extend it over the ear, and I want to keep this upper outer arm wrapping forward, something like that. So when I'm in the position, I'm here, I'm not here. Okay? So wrapping it forward, finding a steady gazing point, trying to keep the gaze on one point, somewhere maybe on the inner arm or inner elbow. Chin is neutral, lower belly pulling in, breathing smoothly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Use the strength of the legs. Inhale, come back up to standing. Bring the left foot in, bending at the knees, and then either stepping or hopping back to Samastitihi at the front of the mats. Once again, we're going to bend the knees, step the right foot back, turn the left toes in. This time you want to look down and see that the outer sides of the feet are parallel. Okay, so it makes it look like the toes are kind of angling in a little bit. Then we want to bring the hands on the hips and squeeze the hip bones together so you feel the lower abdominals pulling in. This is our support for our back. Bring the fingertips in this area. So the fingertips are quite low. Like if I bend my knees, I see that this is my hip crease. I want the fingertips almost that low so that they press into this area that we call Uddiyana Bandha. Then we want to keep the sternum lifting so the chest is open, back of the neck is long, pressing those fingertips to remind us to use these muscles with an inhalation, and then exhalation, tilting forward, keeping the legs and the lower belly strong. Once you're down, release the hands, place them on the floor about shoulder width apart. Okay? Then inhale, get long through the back. And so if for some reason when you bend forward like this kind of thing happens, then you have a couple of options. Either you can bend your knees, try to keep the back long, or you can take a couple of blocks and place them under your hands. It's like they're extending the arms or lifting the floor towards you so that you can keep your lower back, the lumbar back, in a safe position. So you need to decide what is best for you. So if you want to use the blocks, go ahead, or place your hands on the floor directly, keep the chest open. And then same thing, if you want to go forward, you want to keep the lower back safe. So perhaps you can use your blocks again, something like this. Or if you've got the flexibility available, keep the hands on the floor. Bend the elbows, so the elbows are about over the wrists. Keep the back of the neck long. Bring the gaze towards your nose and listen to the sounds of your breath. Inhaling, exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale, straighten the arms, open the chest. Exhale, place the hands back on the hips where they were. Use the belly muscles, use the strength of the legs. Inhale all the way back up to a standing position. Exhale as soon as you reach the top. Inhale, separate the arms out to the sides. Exhale, place the hands back on the hips, pressing the fingertips into the lower belly. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, tilting forward, keeping the core of the body strong. And if you need to, you can always bend the knees. Try to keep the area between the shoulder blades soft and broaden through the collarbones. Bring your gaze towards your nose, or if that makes you feel dizzy, just find another gazing point, and then tune back into your breath, inhaling, exhaling with a soft sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Press the feet. Inhale all the way up to standing. Exhale as soon as you reach the top. Bending the knees, turn the heels in, and step back to the fronts of your mats. Okay, the next position, similar thing. You bend the knees, step the right foot back, turn the left toes in, and then turn your right foot so that it's pointing the end of the mat. Okay, so the alignment of the feet is going to be slightly different than the previous positions. Now we're going to really angle that back foot in quite a bit so that we can shift the hips so that ideally both hips are facing the same direction. So if you place your hands on the hard part of the pelvis here like this, and then you point your fingertips forward, they're both facing in the same direction. If that's not happening for you, it might be that the front foot is not in the right spot. So sometimes we need to shift it over towards the right. And then we might get that. Or maybe the back toes aren't angling in. If I'm like this, my hips won't go forward. I need to really angle that in. Both hips forward, lower belly pulling in. And then we're going to open the arms out to the sides, turn the thumbs so they're pointing downwards, bend at the elbows, and we're going to bring the fingers together like this, like the fists are together. Okay, so they're just about the level of the waist, and lower belly in, sternum lifted, back of the neck long, inhaling, and then exhaling, seeing if we can bring the spine parallel with the floor. This whole area of the lower back should be parallel with the floor. Trying not to move at the hips, keeping the back of the neck long, like we're reaching the crown forward, but the sitting bones in the opposite direction. Then we come back to the breath, listening to the inhales and exhales. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Press firm into the feet. Inhale all the way back up. Turning on the heels. Turn the back foot in. Point the front foot out. Re-look at the alignment of the feet. So sometimes as soon as we shift, it all gets lost. So take a look. Both hip bones forward. If it's not working for you, you can shift your front foot out towards the left a little bit. Lower belly pulling in. Open the arms. Thumb pointing downwards. Bending at the elbows. And bringing the tops of the fingers towards each other like this. Okay. Lower belly in, chest lifted, back of the neck long, inhaling, exhaling, slowly coming forward, trying to be aware of what's happening in the hips. So we don't want to move the hips, you want to keep them steady, bringing the spine about parallel with the floor, if possible. If not, if there's tightness, maybe you need to stay up something like this. If you're a little more on the flexible side, maybe even go down a little deeper. But just respect your limits. That's about 2 breaths. 3. 4, and 5. Press the feet. Inhale, come up. Turn the front foot in so both the feet are parallel, bending at the knees, either stepping or you're welcome to up, hop the feet back together. Okay, so the next position is a one-legged balance pose. So before we can balance on one foot, we need to balance on 2 feet. So the best is to start in samasthiti, just re-looking at how you're aligning your body. So lifting the toes from the floor, all the toes, and then see if you can stretch the big toes down and forward. Little toes out and down, and spreading all the other toes in between. Leaning forward just enough so that you feel the skin of the heels coming off the floor, up, and then sitting back. So you feel like your feet are really well grounded. Then checking lower belly is pulling in, low ribs feel like they're connected to the hip bones, and the sternum is lifted. Lower back relaxed, buttocks relaxed. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to soften the right knee so the weight is on the left foot. So I'm going to show you what often happens when we do that. Usually when we bend the right knee, the left hip goes out. Okay, so this is not what we want to happen. We're going to soften the knee and we're going to keep the hips firm, like we're pulling in. So I soften, both my hips are still staying inwards. I start to pick up that front knee. I can interlace my fingers over the shin bone. And so very often when we do this, see how I'm leaning forward? We want to see if we can anchor the shoulder blades on the back. Broaden through the collarbones and use our arms and upper back to be able to lift that knee higher. Okay, you want to try to get it as high as it can go, but the priority is still the standing leg, the straight leg. So it needs to be straight. You need to be feeling like you're sort of in samasthiti so that you're lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head. Okay, so this is 5 breaths. So that's about 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, you're going to take your right hand, so you're just holding your knee. Left hand can come on the hip. If you're having trouble with the balance, maybe straightening the arm out to the side, or maybe even holding a chair or a wall, there's nothing wrong with that. Then, you're going to slowly open your right knee towards the side, but as you do so, seeing if you can keep both hip bones about the same level. So, not like that, okay? Right hip down. And then, if you feel steady, follow the horizon and turn and find a point to gaze at towards your left. And then 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, bring the knee and the gaze back to the center. Interlace the fingers under your thigh. Roll open the shoulders. Feel the upper back engaging to lift through the chest. And then see if you can start to straighten out that front leg. So if it doesn't straighten all the way, no problem. Keep it bent, something like this. And then release the hands and then straighten the leg, even if the foot comes a little lower. Doesn't matter. You want to now really straighten it so that you engage the quads. And that's about 5 breaths here. So that's 3, 4, and 5. Bending the knee, placing it back down beside the other foot. Okay, second side. So if you need to, lift the toes, big toes down and forward, little toes out and down, spreading the others in between. Leaning forward, lifting the skin of the heels, and then placing it back down. Verify hip bones, feeling like they're coming a little bit towards one another. So you're using the core of your body. Softening the left knee, starting to lift it up. As you lift it, you're going to take your fingers across the shin and then roll open the shoulders so you can lift the knee as high as you can. Finding a point to gaze at. And 5 inhales, 5 exhales. 1. Find a steady point to gaze at. 2. You're welcome to use a wall. 3. Standing legs is completely straight. 4. And 5. Bring your left hand over the knee, right hand either on the hip or out to the side. Start to shift open that knee, being aware to see if you can keep your left hip still facing forward. It's not like this. Okay, so sitting bone feels heavy on the left side. Shifting the gaze towards the side, and 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale back to center. Interlacing the fingers under the thigh, roll open the shoulders, and work towards straightening that leg. If it doesn't straighten all the way, no problem. Place the hands on the hips, lower the leg, and straighten it. Feel the quads engaged. 1, 2, 3, feels long. 4, and 5. Releasing. You can shake out the legs. Use those muscles well. We're going to do another one-legged balance. So this is called the tree pose. So once again, we want to verify both hip bones are facing the same direction. We're going to bend that right knee without sticking out the hip. And then open the knee to the side. So the toes and the knee are facing the same direction, but the pelvis is trying to face still face forward. Okay? So that we're really opening from the hip joint. If I do it like this, right, then I'm just using my back muscles and I'm kind of torquing in the back. So I don't want that to happen. I want to keep my back straight and feeling safe. So I'm using my hips. And then I'm going to pick up that right foot and place it on the upper inner thigh. Re-verify both hip bones are forward. And if for some reason or another that foot doesn't reach so high, no problem. You can place it lower. You can even place it something like that. Right? We work from where we are. And slowly find a gazing point, a steady gazing point. And if you feel comfortable, you can place the hands in front of the chest. And breathe deeply. Ujjayi, soft sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. When we come out, we try to come out with control, releasing the foot and placing the foot back down beside the other foot. Both hip bones forward, soften the left knee, open from the hip joint, toes and knees pointing in the same direction, hips facing forward, lower belly in, long spine, straight standing leg. Pick up that foot, place it wherever you're going to place it, so something either here, maybe on the calf, not on the knee, not the best idea, but if you can, up on the upper inner thigh. Re-verifying both hip bones are forward, belly in, core connected, hands in front of the chest. Find a steady gazing point and bring your awareness to your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Releasing with control, letting the knee come forward and the foot back down. So now we're going to come back to the fronts of the mats. If you've moved, we're going to do a little sequence that is similar to the sun salutations. Okay, so we're going to do a fierce pose like this, and we're going to do a couple of warrior poses. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through. The toes are together at the front of the mat in this samasthiti, feeling the shoulder blades anchored, the back of the neck long, lower belly in, legs straight, gazing forward. Inhale, bring the arms parallel to the floor. Have a look at your elbows. The elbows should be straight. And then if you can raise the arms a little bit more, raise them, but keep the elbows straight. Feel like the baby finger side of the arms are reaching up and away. And then exhale, folding over the legs, bending the knees, hands beside the feet, releasing the neck. Inhale, slide the hands up the shin bones, open the chest, long back. Exhale, put the hands on the floor in front of you, leaning into the hands, use the fingers, and then step one foot back and the other foot back, coming into our plank pose. Press the heels away, long neck, leaning forward, knees down, elbows stay over the wrists, coming all the way down to the floor. Pointing the toes, pressing all 10 toes into the floor so the knees are off the floor. Legs are engaged. Roll open the shoulders. Feel the back muscles engaging. Gaze to the nose. And then turning the toes, pressing into the hands, bringing the sitting bones towards the heels, elongating the spine, straight arms, ears between the upper arms. Lifting forward again, picking up the knees, stepping one foot forward, other foot forward, bending the knees, keeping them bent, and then lift the arms parallel with the floor. Have a look at the elbows are straight, reaching the baby finger side of the arms away, reaching the arms up a little bit. Wherever you can, where you can keep the back of the neck long, no tension in the neck. Gazing at a point, holding it here. That's about 2, 3, 4, and 5. Exhale, coming back down so the hands are on the floor. Bring your weight forward so that you're using your fingertips. Step one foot back and the other foot back. Coming into a plank pose. Pull the lower belly towards your sacrum, leaning forward, knees, pelvis, chest to the floor. Roll open the shoulders, cobra pose, pressing the toes. Turning the toes, press the hands, puppy pose. Then lifting up, picking up the knees, stepping your right foot towards your right thumb, turning the back foot on the floor at an angle. Have a look at your feet, and if you imagine you have a line dividing your mat vertically, each foot is just ever so slightly on either side of that line. Bend the right knee so it's over the heel, coming all the way up, and then try to drop your right hip and then lift your left thigh up so that it feels like it's connected into the core of your body. Bring your arms parallel with the floor, straightening the elbows, and then reaching up, just wherever it feels most comfortable for you so that the neck can remain long. Finding a gazing point. 1, 2, make sure there's no tension in the jaw. Soften the point between the eyebrows. 3, 4, and 5. So now here, we're going to straighten the front knee, turn the right foot in, point the right foot to the back of your mat. We're going to try to come into the same position on the other side. So you might need to wiggle your feet around to find the position, and if you need to, you take the hands down, verify your hips are forward, your belly is in, the front knee is over the heel, the back foot is angling in, and then bring the arms parallel with the floor again, reach the baby finger side away, start to raise up the arms. Check there's no tension in your neck. You're able to breathe deeply. That's about 2 breaths. 3, 4, and 5. So that was Virabhadrasana or Warrior A. Now we're going to go into Warrior B. This one, we open our arms so that the arms are parallel with the floor. You need to wiggle your front foot in a little bit because now the alignment of the feet is heel to heel. So if the feet came together, the heels would touch. And you're going to take your right hip and try to open it out. Okay, see what distance you want to have your feet apart. And then bring your arms out to the sides and turn your palms upwards so you feel the shoulder blades going down the back. And then just moving from the elbows, turn the palms down. Keep gazing to the front finger. That's about 3 breaths. 4. And 5. Straighten the front knee. Turn those toes in, point the right foot out, and bend your right knee. Feel like you're opening your left hip. Bring your arms out to the sides. Turn the palms up so that your shoulder blades are going away from the ears, and then turn the palms down. Gaze towards your right fingertips. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you're going to lift your left arm up, windmilling the arms. Place the hands on the floor. Straighten your back foot. Put the palms down. And bring your right foot back, place your knees to the floor, and come to sit on the heels. Okay, so that's, it's about 2/3 of the standing sequence of Ashtanga. So you can do that, and then lie on the back and spend at least 5 minutes in Shavasana, resting well. Thank you. Namaste.